Hello, my name is Jack Rickabaugh, and today I'll be presenting to you my proposal for the Prairie Pothole region. The balance between conservation and agricultural production has been broken. Commodity prices and overwhelming farm subsidies are the driving forces behind the problem. Today, I'll express to you what the Prairie Pothole region is and what its functions are. I will outline the major concerns and the causes of those concerns, and then I will present to you my proposed plan. This plan works cooperatively with local farmers and landowners to find a balance between agricultural production and conservation. The Prairie Pothole region covers a large proportion of the northern Great Plains and much of the south-central part of Canada. As you can see from the picture, this region covers an immense amount of acreage and is home to large and diverse populations of both human and wildlife. The Prairie Pothole region is considered to be one of the most historic and iconic grasslands on Earth. It is enriched with immense natural grassland acreage and countless small depressions that fill up and become wetlands. The Prairie Pothole region is pivotal to the livelihood of millions of waterfowl. Its most profound function is the immaculate breeding ground that it provides for waterfowl in the spring. It also covers much of the Central Flyway, which acts as an interstate for waterfowl migration. Every year, millions of birds travel through this region along their journey south. Migration patterns vary among all species, so some birds never completely leave the Prairie Pothole region unless forced by extreme weather conditions. This region also acts as a granary for much of the U.S. crop production. Various row crops such as corn, beans, sorghum, and wheat are planted annually. This crop acreage acts as the other dominant ground cover of the PPR. Concerns are arising in this region. The natural landscapes, wildlife populations, and environmental conditions are realizing some negative trends. Grassland conversion rates are higher than they have ever been. The amount of grassland acreage has diminished by nearly 90% from its original mark. Commodity prices trends have fueled a movement of conversion, and the natural grasslands of the PPR have paid the price. What was once a region dominated by natural prairie has now been invaded by row crop fields. The balance between the natural world and agricultural production has been broken. This conversion has also been spread to marginal lands. Farm subsidies are provoking farmers to use the most sensitive and erodible lands for production. The economic returns from the subsidies are so great that the farmers have no choice but to increase crop acreage. Because of the increased use of land not suitable for crop production, we are beginning to see increases in irrigation. Water is already becoming a less available resource, but we are trending towards production that relies on irrigation. The wildlife, specifically waterfowl population, are seeing their habitat decrease in quality and quantity. The production practices used today are negatively affecting their food sources and resting areas. The diversity of aquatic plants and organisms utilized as food by waterfowl is weakening, and the amount of acreage available to them is declining. There are also environmental impacts that are growing in concern. With the increased inputs resulting from the immense amount of acres planted, our carbon footprint is growing. Substantial amounts of carbon is released into the air during grassland conversion. Once the land is converted, the diesel emissions and fertilizer runoff dampen the air and water quality. Average temperature for this region is also expected to steadily increase. Repercussions must be taken in order to protect this region. My proposed plan will cooperatively work with local farmers and landowners. Over 90% of the Prairie Pothole region is privately owned, so working towards a solution in an aggressive manner would only conclude in failure. This proposed plan will keep the land in the hands of the landowners and work towards restoring the balance of conservation and agriculture. The first initiative is to govern irrigation. As technology improves, we are becoming more and more efficient. Irrigation abuse can arise, and it has, because of how efficient we can irrigate. Our ability to irrigate has allowed farmers to put land into production that simply would not be able to without it. While this seems like a fantastic new ability, it is causing detrimental harm to the region. I am proposing that individual tradable quotas, also known as ITQs, are dispensed among the regional farmers so we can achieve an efficient way of capping irrigation. Using ITQs as opposed to government taxation will develop a market for irrigation and allow farmers to decide the allocation of irrigation permits. Secondly, a reviving of the Conservation Reserve Program, also known as CRP, needs to occur. The Conservation Reserve Program pays farmers to take sensitive pieces of crop ground out of production and restore with grassland vegetation. CRP enrollment was at peak numbers less than 10 years ago, but has been subject to declines ever since. Reviving the enrollment of this program will take marginal lands out of production while also increasing grassland cover. The increase in grassland acreage will provide new wildlife habitat and weaken the negative effects on the environment. The economic gains from row crops have been too powerful for landowners to continue to value the conservation of their land. The third piece of my proposal is to reverse subsidies and pay incentives for farmers to conserve. Farmers currently receive large incentives to produce crops like corn and beans, so to maximize their gains, they are increasing their crop acreage. If these subsidies are weakened for crops and strengthened for conservation, I believe we can find a balance between the two that benefits everybody. This also keeps the landowners in the power of their land while not hindering their ability to find a profit. This plan will result in an increase of food price, but if the subsidy for conservation and subsidy for crops reach a balanced ratio, the economic benefits will be the same. I have now presented to you the concerns and the damages that are being realized in the Prairie Pothole region. This region is becoming more and more vulnerable to grassland habitat loss along with diminishing quality of environment. My proposal works with regional landowners to find a threshold that protects the livelihood of both human and wildlife population. By controlling irrigation, reviving CRP, and subsidizing grassland protection, we can restore the value of conservation that has been lost. The restoring of this value, along with understanding the importance and need of agriculture, we can achieve a state that benefits all. I thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact me through phone or email.